Hi, and welcome everybody. Good morning or good evening to you, wherever you might be. And thank you for attending this workshop where we're going to be discussing some new recent changes to Plaid Exchange. And if you're new to Plaid Exchange, don't worry about it. We've got you covered because we're going to be beginning with a brief introduction and overview of what PX is and who it's for and why we're so excited about it and why we think it's great. At the end, after our main presentation, we're going to have time for Q&A. So please queue up your questions in the panel to the right of your screen, and the moderator will handle that. But first, let's start with a round of introductions. I'll go first. My name is Jesse Dillon. I've been a product manager at Plaid for 4.5 years now, and I work on the Plaid Exchange program. Morgan and Zach, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Morgan Davey. I've been at Plaid for a little over 2 years now. I am on our financial team, specifically working on Plaid Exchange with our fintech partners. So I work with fintechs of all sizes to get them up and running and supported on the Plaid network as a support institution. Really excited to talk to you guys today about Plaid Exchange. Zach?
Hi everyone. My name is Zach Hutkin. I'm a Plaid Exchange Solutions Engineer. I've been at Plaid for about 3.5 years, and I work with Plaid Exchange partners to support their builds and make the required changes on Plaid's side to launch new PX integrations.
Perfect. And Morgan, why don't you take it away with our first slide here?
All right, so kicking things off, thought it would make sense to start off with some macro trends that we're seeing in the industry. So we did a study with the Harris Poll starting in 2020, and then again this year to understand a couple different things. One, to understand how fintech plays a role in consumers' lives, and then also to understand how COVID has affected how users manage their money and manage their finances. So unsurprisingly, as bank branches closed and in-person events were canceled last year, more users turned to digital tools and services to manage their finances. Based on some of the findings that we've seen year over year, we think that these habits are here to stay. Firstly, nearly 9 in 10 Americans use fintech apps and services today. That's up 30% from last year. So even through COVID, we're seeing more users and new users across the platform. 80% say that they can manage their money entirely without a bank branch. And on average, users use 3 or more fintech apps to manage their money, and that's up from 2 last year. So not only are we seeing more users across the platform, but we're also seeing users are using more and different types of apps to help them manage their money. So with those trends in mind, and then also thinking about the pretty expansive network that Plaid has built, we have over 11,000 supported institutions, whether that be investment institutions, traditional FIs, fintechs, or neobanks. Consumers have really come to expect this ability to search for their institution in a Plaid app and seamlessly connect and be able to share their data. We have over 5,000 apps on our network as well. And so that single integration to Plaid through Plaid Exchange enables your users to connect to that whole ecosystem. And offering that seamless and secure connection is so important and so crucial that we actually found in the Harris Poll research that it's a driving factor in how consumers select a bank. So 76% said that when choosing a bank, the ability to connect apps or accounts to apps and services is a top priority. And 69% even said that they would consider switching banks if they were not able to do so. So with this acceleration to digital throughout COVID, and also just these expectations from consumers and being able to connect, connectivity is really now more important than ever as an institution, whether it be a traditional FI or a fintech. And with that, I will hand it over to Jesse to talk more about Plaid Exchange.
Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, so that's a great rundown there for why financial institutions should care about fintech and being connected and being accessible. And to facilitate that connection into the fintech ecosystem, into Plaid-powered apps, we've built Plaid Exchange to enable those institutions to integrate themselves. A financial institution here could be a startup neobank, an investment app, a community bank or credit union, or even a vendor that provides back-end services for many banks. And so just to kind of concentrate what we're talking about here and make it more concrete. If you're familiar with Plaid, you know about Plaid Link. You see a kind of sketch of it here on screen. It's Plaid's institution and account selection UI. It's present in basically every fintech app. And the main purpose is to guide users to finding their institutions, authenticating themselves and connecting their accounts. And so PX is the way that an institution can integrate itself and show up in those Plaid apps. It enables institutions to become discoverable by its users and also have control over their integrations into Plaid and Plaid apps. So let's get even more concrete here. So far we've been talking about why PX is something that you would actually want, but what really is it? It's an API, and it's the API that Plaid prescribes for building an integration into Plaid, according to our specifications and our conventions, so that if you built it, we can point our backend at it, and we can integrate your institution into the Plaid network. So the API itself is broken up into 3 core concerns. That's authentication, authorization, and data connectivity. Authentication, I think most people are very familiar with this topic. It describes how to verify that a user who is attempting to initiate a connection via Plaid, to connect an account to a Plaid-powered application, you want to verify that they are actually who they claim to be. So the PX API can facilitate basic username and password-based authentication, and it can also accommodate additional factors such as your SMS-based OTP or your code from an authenticator app. Authorization concerns which accounts and data elements Plaid can access, or which apps that those elements can be distributed to. And so this part of the API, in addition to kind of communicating what access Plaid has, it also gives institutions the ability to integrate that information into their own apps or into their own online banking dashboards, so that you can create interfaces that allow your users to review and manage their connections that were created on Plaid. And then data connectivity, this is more like the nuts and bolts of the API. It's how to structure API requests and responses so that Plaid can understand them, and then how to describe accounts and other financial resources, that sort of thing. And now Morgan is going to talk a little bit about the track record of PX so far and the benefits that we've delivered with our partners.
Right. Thanks, Jesse. That's a great overview of Plaid Exchange. So we did a case study to really understand how users, what benefits they saw when using an account or connecting an account through Plaid. So we heard directly from consumers in the Harris poll that it was an important factor when choosing a bank, but we also wanted to understand how users' behavior changed after linking an account through Plaid. And what we found is that users were more engaged from a spending perspective, and also from depositing their payroll into their account. And then kind of taking that one step further, what we found is what's the interchange revenue impact for that increased engagement for an institution. And we found per 500,000 users that were more engaged, as we saw in the study, that would translate into roughly $1 million in monthly interchange revenue for debit, and roughly $4 million in monthly credit interchange revenue. So some pretty tangible revenue impacts from that increased engagement from being able to connect out to the ecosystem. And then looking back at the past about year and a half that we've been in market with Plaid Exchange, we've had a ton of exciting momentum and progress. So we've enabled nearly 40 million connections for users that bank at fintechs and neobanks. We have coverage for about 75% of the fintechs that users are searching for and attempting to connect, and we're growing that number every single day. We've onboarded over 70 institutions, including those logos that you'll see at the bottom, including Chime and MoneyLion and Borrow. We're contracted to add over 500 over the next few months before the end of the year. So we're really excited to be able to serve even more institutions through this new testing tool that Zach will discuss in a minute. That will help make this process easier for you guys as developers and as institutions trying to integrate. So we'll be able to onboard even more institutions. And then finally, Just a customer quote that I love is from the Varo team. Plaid lets us see the full picture so we can develop products and services to truly support our customers. That is helping to deliver our transformation. So Varo uses Plaid to both enable users to connect their accounts into Varo and then also connect their Varo accounts to the apps and services that they choose. So that is helping to deliver on their digital roadmap. And with that, I will hand it over to Zach to talk more about the DocSite and the testing tool.
Thanks, Morgan. Today, we're pleased to announce 2 new Plaid Exchange features. The first feature we'll be talking about today is the new Plaid Exchange DocSite. The DocSite provides a single centralized location where you can find all the information you need to build out and maintain your Plaid Exchange integration. It brings the Plaid.com developer experience familiar to many of you who have integrated with other Plaid products to Plaid Exchange partners. The new DocSite includes the Plaid Exchange spec and core implementation guide, new data flow diagrams covering core authentication, aggregation, and notification flows, a comprehensive data dictionary. And additionally, over the course of Q4, we'll be adding an FAQ, an article on frequently missed issues, and an article covering how end users will interact with your Plaid Exchange integration. Pictured here, we see 3 of the new illustrations that I was referring to. On the top left, we see a typical asynchronous transactions update flow. Plaid first makes a request to the partner's user's user ID endpoint to update account balance information before making a user's user ID transactions call to pull in fresh transaction data. On the bottom left, we see the classic Plaid Exchange authentication flow. This involves Plaid making a request to the partner's user's auth token endpoint to exchange user-submitted credentials for a user ID and auth token. Plaid then uses this user ID and auth token to make a request to the partner's user's user ID endpoint to pull in account data for that user. Finally, on the top right, we see the transactions notification flow. Historically, Plaid has attempted to check for new transactions roughly every 6 hours. In the notification flow, partner tells Plaid when a new transaction is available to be pulled. And this not only allows end users' transactions to be pushed through to fintech apps consuming this data in real time, but it also reduces the total number of transaction update requests Plaid needs to make to the partner by up to 75%. The other feature we're excited to announce today is the new Plaid Exchange Validator tool. Testing new Plaid Exchange integrations used to be a clunky and slow process. A Plaid Exchange solutions engineer such as myself would manually trigger requests to partners' endpoints, check that the data received matched our spec, and report any issues to the partner for fixing. This often required multiple rounds of testing and could take days or weeks. New Plaid Exchange Validator tool streamlines this testing process by allowing partners to self-test their own integration. The tool leverages the same request and validation logic that Plaid will employ in our production environment and passes back user-friendly error messages pinpointing any validation issues that were encountered. We'll now jump into a quick demonstration of how the new validator tool works. And you'll note that the flow here will start with us inputting an item ID, which can be obtained via a separate call to Plaid's item import endpoint. And this is covered in the validator tool documentation. So we'll start out by selecting the new Exchange tab on Plaid.com, which will bring us to our Plaid Exchange dashboard. Click the Validate button and put our item ID. The tool is now sending requests to your Plaid Exchange endpoints. And we'll see that transactions validation was successful. However, user identity validation failed because the return JSON was missing the user's first and last name. And with that, I will hand it back over to Jesse.
Great. Thank you, Zach, for giving us a walkthrough of the new tool and the new DocSite. This tooling is just the beginning of what's going to be a comprehensive institution-facing dashboard that offers useful tooling, not just for developers, but also for eventually other decision makers and other stakeholders at your institutions. We're going to be expanding the capability of the validation tooling so that instead of, or not just being limited to the request flows, you're also going to be able to debug authentication flows as well. And then we're going to expand the level of detail and traceability in the API requests that are logged so that you can track down issues across multiple items or across multiple accounts during a given time window and other such criteria. And then lastly, we want to start offering reports and analyses that start telling you more about how your institution and Plaid are working together, what kind of value your users are finding through different fintech apps, and how your institution can improve its integration. And so, yeah, if this all sounds really interesting to you, which I hope it does, we'd love for you to take part in our beta here, for the validator tool and for helping test the accelerated onboarding experience. The doc site is open to everyone. The validator tool that Zach showed the video of is in beta right now, and if you're interested in learning more, you want to participate, reach out to your account manager or send an email to plaid-exchange@plaid.com, the email address that's here on the slide, and you can request to join the beta. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you everybody for attending our talk. Hopefully you found it informative. And again, if you want to participate in the beta of the validator tool, please email plaid-exchange@plaid.com, and we'll be happy to forward you a link to the docs and to get you enrolled in the beta.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.